The moment I walked into the office, Preston Pierce's sharp voice cut through the air. "Sierra Shaw, you're off the Lockhart Group project." I stared at him, confused. "Why?" "Rosalie just got back to the country and doesn't know anyone. I want to help her build some connections. Besides, you have so many accounts on your plate. What's the big deal about giving her one or two?" I froze on the spot. Preston knew perfectly well how much I had poured into this project. From the endless nights analyzing data to drinking with investors until I got a bleeding ulcer, we were on the verge of signing the contracts. And now, he wanted me to hand it all over to Rosalie Thorne. I confronted him. "The company has plenty of other projects. Why does it have to be mine? What's more," he cut me off impatiently. "I'm telling you, not asking for your permission. It's decided. Get Rosalie up to speed on your work later." As he turned to leave, I said coldly, "Then I quit." Preston stopped dead in his tracks. He spun around, frowning. "Sierra, are you serious? You're going to quit over one project?" I looked him straight in the eye. "It's not just about this," I said quietly. "And you know it." Preston faltered for a second, a flicker of guilt in his eyes, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. He walked over to me, his tone softening into a placating one. "Come on, Rosalie just got back. I'm just looking out for her because she's in a tough spot. Don't be so petty." I found it laughable. We had been together for 7 years, and not once had he ever made an exception for me just because I was his girlfriend. But now, for Rosalie Thorne, he was breaking his own rules. Could it be that in his heart, 7 years of companionship meant less than his history with his childhood sweetheart? I looked at him and said coldly, "I'm sorry, Mr. Pierce, but I'm not that generous." Preston's face darkened. He roared at me, "Sierra, if you keep being so unreasonable, we're through." "Fine," I said nonchalantly. "I agree." Preston stared at me, a flash of surprise in his eyes. In the past, whenever he'd said those words, I would have been the one to humbly apologize and beg for his forgiveness, regardless of whose fault it was. But this time, I was just tired. Until now, I had always believed I held at least some place in his heart. That was until Rosalie returned from abroad. To make her happy, Preston let her ruin our wedding preparations. He knew how much that painting meant to me, yet he still let her burn it to ashes without a single thought for my feelings. "You said it, Sierra. Don't come crying back to me." He shoved me aside as he spoke. The force was too much, and my legs gave out. My knee slammed hard onto the floor, and a sharp, radiating pain made me cry out. Preston looked back, his eyes flickering for a moment. He seemed about to reach out and help me up when his phone suddenly rang. The screen lit up with the name, Rosalie Darling. It was obviously her. He instinctively pulled his hand back and answered the call. "Brother Preston, I have a flat tire on the side of the road. I'm so scared. Can you come help me?" Preston's expression changed in an instant, his eyes filled with worry. "Don't panic. Send me your location. I'm coming to get you right now." After hanging up, he seemed to notice my swollen knee and sighed. "All right, I'll pretend you didn't say anything today. Stop throwing these little tantrums, or I really won't put up with it anymore." "There is no anymore for us," I said flatly. Preston froze, then tossed out a cold, "We'll talk when I get back," and turned and left. Watching his retreating back, my heart felt like it had plunged into an abyss. The next second, a text from my dad lit up my phone. "Sierra, I always knew it wouldn't work out with that Pierce kid. What kind of man watches his girlfriend suffer and doesn't feel a thing? But it's not too late for you to see his true colors. I've already set the date for the engagement ceremony. It's in 3 days. Take this time to think things through." It turned out that outsiders had seen his cold-hearted nature long ago. I was just too trapped to see it myself. I thought about it. 3 days was enough time to draw a clear line with Preston. So I replied to my dad, "Dad, my mind is clear. I'll be at the engagement ceremony in 3 days." That was Preston, always acting like he held all the cards, completely indifferent to my affairs. I used to think he was just naturally cold. But when I saw how attentive he was to Rosalie, I finally understood. He wasn't cold and heartless to everyone, he was just used to ignoring my feelings. After quickly tending to my wound, I called Mrs. Pierce. Out of courtesy, I felt I should tell her first that I was canceling the wedding. I'd been with Preston for 7 years. Although he had been lukewarm to me all this time, his mother, Mrs. Pierce, genuinely liked me. Whenever I visited, she would go out of her way to cook a table full of my favorite dishes to cheer me up. She'd often ask with concern if Preston was bullying me, and I would always smile and say no. This time, I didn't lie. I said it plainly, "I'm calling off the wedding with Preston," Mrs. Pierce gasped. "Calling it off? Sierra, did you two have a fight? You've been together for 7 years, you've been through so much. You're finally about to get married, why would you suddenly call it off?" Years ago, to be with Preston, I had a huge falling out with my family. My dad didn't want me to gamble my future by dedicating my youth to one man. He said the price was too high and that I would regret it. But I didn't listen. During our poorest year, I slept under bridges with him, ate leftovers from other people's takeout boxes, and we were even chased out of an office building like beggars. During the toughest phase of starting his business, I was the one running around, begging for help, drinking with clients until I got a bleeding ulcer. I'll never forget what he said to me after the company earned its first major profit. He was drunk and told me, "Sierra, I will make you the happiest woman in the world." Because of those words, I stayed by his side, unwavering, for 7 years. I thought I could melt his icy heart, but I was wrong. 7 years of devotion couldn't compete with the place his childhood sweetheart held in his heart. And I instantly realized that he could be incredibly attentive to another woman, it just wasn't me. I didn't tell Mrs. Pierce the specific reasons. After hanging up, I drafted a resignation letter to have Preston sign when I got home that evening. As I pushed the door open, I saw Rosalie and Preston sitting on the sofa. The moment I walked in, I saw Rosalie's smooth, bare legs propped up on Preston's lap. There was a red patch on her calf, and Preston was gently applying one of my personal bandages to it. Seeing me, Rosalie smiled. "Oh, sorry about this, Sis Sierra. My legs hurt, and Brother Preston was so worried he brought me home to take care of me himself. You don't mind, do you?" As she spoke, she glanced at my knee, a mocking smirk playing on her lips as if to say, "So what if you're his girlfriend? I'm still the most important one in his heart." I ignored her petty games. "Do whatever you want," I said flatly. Preston smirked. "I thought you were serious this time. Turns out you were just throwing another little tantrum, same as always. Since you know you were wrong, I'll let it slide. But if you get jealous over every little thing in the future, I don't have the energy to coddle you." Looking at his arrogant expression, I found it utterly ironic. The only reason he could hurt me so recklessly was that he was certain I loved him and couldn't leave him. But now, my heart was dead. I would never again grovel like a bootlicker, begging for his forgiveness. I scoffed. "Sorry, I'm not here to apologize. I'm here to tell you that I've already contacted the venue and canceled the wedding." Preston froze. Then, he said impatiently, "Sierra, what are you playing at now? For years, you've dreamed of marrying me. You think you can just give up that easily?" He sneered. "Trying to play hard to get? I'd save your breath. I'm not going to, you're overthinking it, Preston. I came back to let you know, get my resignation letter signed, and pack my things." With that, I placed the resignation letter in front of him. "Sign it," I said calmly. Preston stared blankly for a moment. Realizing I wasn't joking, his tone softened. "Sierra, are you still angry about that? I already explained. Rosalie is just young and naive. Do you have to hold it against her?" "Sierra, what is it that you want?" What did I want? From the very beginning, all I ever wanted was his exclusive, unwavering affection. That's what I thought, but what I said was, "Whatever it is I want, you can't give it to me. There's no point in dragging this out." Beside him, Rosalie's eyes welled up. She leaned into Preston's arms, looking guilty. "I'm so sorry, Sis Sierra. Did you misunderstand us? Brother Preston and I grew up together, so I'm just used to asking him for help with everything. If you mind, I'll never bother him again. Please don't fight because of me. I can just leave." As she said this, she made to get up, but accidentally stumbled and fell to the floor. Preston caught her with one hand, and with the other, he snatched the resignation letter and slammed it against my face. "Do you have to be so dramatic?" he roared. "I already agreed to marry you. What more do you want?" The hard edge of the folder cut my forehead, and blood instantly trickled down. Preston stared at me, his eyes flickering for a second. He was about to check on me when Rosalie grabbed him. "Brother Preston, my leg. It's bleeding so much, it hurts." Preston forgot all about me. He scooped Rosalie into his arms and rushed out the door. Even though my heart was already dead, in that moment, it felt like someone had squeezed it tight, the pain so intense I could barely breathe. As I was leaving a small clinic after getting my cut treated, a few messages popped up in a group chat on my phone. I opened it to see a series of selfies posted by Rosalie. In the photos, Preston was kissing her forehead, his face full of adoration, his eyes brimming with a doting love. Below, people started commenting one after another. "Childhood sweethearts for sure, I'm so jealous." Someone joked, "Why don't you two just get together secretly? I'll chip in for a round of drinks." "Yeah, you're a perfect match and so close. It's a shame if you don't get together. What are you all talking about, mister? Pierce is about to get married. Have some respect for his fiancée," Preston eagerly clarified. "Rosalie and I grew up together. Our bond is stronger than anyone else's. Even after I'm married, she will always be the most important person in my life." The group chat fell silent. Reading those words felt like a sudden stab to the heart, followed by a dense, spreading pain. I took a deep breath and left the group chat. Back at the apartment, I packed my things to leave. As I was heading out, I ran right into Preston standing outside the door. He glanced at the suitcase in my hand and gave a mocking smile. "Putting on quite a show, aren't you? Making sure everyone knows you're leaving?" I ignored him and walked past. Just as I was about to step into the elevator, he grabbed my wrist, a flash of panic in his eyes. "Sierra, you're actually doing this," he sighed. "All right, stop this nonsense." This time, before he could finish, Rosalie's voice came from behind him. "Sis Sierra, are you leaving because of me? I know you hate me. Is it okay if I apologize? Please don't fight with Brother Preston anymore." With that, she ran off, crying. Preston shot me a furious glare. "Sierra, can't you be a little more generous?" he yelled impatiently. "Rosalie already apologized to you. What more do you want? I'm warning you, if you dare bully her again, I won't let you off the hook." Then, without a second glance, he chased after her. I stood there, stunned and numb, a dull ache spreading through my heart. Tears started to stream down my face uncontrollably. I squatted down, buried my head in my arms, and sobbed uncontrollably. It wasn't until late that night that I finally dragged my suitcase and hailed a cab to a hotel. That night, Rosalie sent me a few photos of her and Preston in bed together. I didn't care. I just blocked her number and deleted the message. What surprised me was that Preston, who never proactively called me, blew up my phone the next day. I didn't answer. Then I received a text from him. "Sierra, I was too impulsive yesterday. I shouldn't have treated you like that. Are you hurt? Sierra, our wedding is in 2 days. Please don't be mad at me, okay? I forgot to tell you I hired a famous artist to paint a replica of your mother's painting. I'll have it at our wedding. You're going to love it." He then sent a photo of the redecorated wedding venue. I glanced at it. What redecoration? He just randomly placed a few vases and added some balloons. It still looked incredibly shabby. It was obvious his heart wasn't in it at all. At that moment, I finally understood. He probably never cared about this wedding to begin with. He sent a few more messages after that, all about wedding arrangements. I didn't reply. The day before my engagement ceremony, Preston somehow found out I was meeting with the heir to the Croft family. I had just arrived at the hotel entrance when his car pulled up in front of me. He got out and walked towards me step by step, his eyes bloodshot. His voice was trembling. "Sierra, come home with me." In the past, when Preston said those words, I would have run to him without hesitation. But not this time. I looked at him coldly. "Preston, we're over." He froze for a second, then grabbed my hand. "Sierra, my patience has its limits. If you keep being so unreasonable, I swear I won't put up with you anymore." I shook his hand off. "You found me here, so you should know that today is my first meeting with the Croft heir. This is very important to me. If there's nothing else, please leave." Preston stared blankly, his eyes twitching, but he quickly put on his arrogant mask again. "Stop acting, Sierra. Don't think I'll believe you just because you cooked up some fake engagement invitations with the Croft family. You're just trying to force me to apologize. All right, come home with me now, and I'll forgive you. I'll act like nothing happened, and the wedding will go on as planned." He grabbed my hand and started pushing me towards his car. "Let me go, Preston, we've already broken up," I yelled. Preston ignored my pleas, shoving me relentlessly into the car. I screamed for the security guards at the entrance. "I don't know this man, get him away from me." Hearing my shout, the guards immediately came over, grabbed Preston by the arms, and threw him to the curb. He tried to come at me again but was blocked. He yelled in my direction, "Sierra, I'll be waiting for you at the wedding tomorrow if you don't show up. I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth. How ridiculous. When I had desperately wanted to marry him, to spend my life with him and him alone, he had trampled my heart under his feet. Now that I didn't love him anymore and had decided to let go, he was hounding me. But what was the use? My heart was already dead to him. The Croft family called to say that Julian's car had broken down on the way and he couldn't make it. In the end, I didn't get to meet him. My dad comforted me. Sierra, it's my fault for being too hasty. But don't worry, I promise you'll be happy with the person I've chosen for you. I smiled nonchalantly. It's okay, Dad. I trust your judgment. The next day, the engagement ceremony took place as scheduled. I hadn't expected the Crofts to arrange such a grand and elaborate venue. It was clear that whoever planned it had put their heart into it. As my dad and I were smiling and greeting the Croft elders, my phone, buried in my purse, wouldn't stop ringing. I glanced at the screen. It was Preston's assistant. I didn't answer, just declined the call and turned my phone off. From the moment I agreed to my dad's arrangement with the Croft family, I had decided to cut all ties with Preston. Nothing he did now would make me go back. Mr. Pierce, Miss Shaw isn't here yet. She's not answering my calls either. Preston froze, a wave of panic rising in his chest. His voice trembled slightly when he spoke. How is that possible? Keep calling from a different number. She's just trying to make me bow down and apologize. Don't humor her. Brother Preston, is Sis Sierra still mad because of me? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come back at a time like this and caused a misunderstanding. Preston ignored her and kicked a nearby chair in frustration. Damn it, he growled. Rosalie's eyes welled up. Brother Preston, before she could finish, the assistant ran over, clutching a photo, looking flustered. Mr. Pierce, he said nervously, it looks like Miss Shaw is actually having an engagement ceremony with the Croft heir next door. Preston stared at the photo, his body going rigid. His hands started to tremble uncontrollably. Then he scoffed. Does she think I'll believe her just because she got the Crofts to play along with her little drama? Let's go. We'll see how long she can keep up this act. Halfway through the ceremony, the doors were thrown open with a bang. I turned and froze when I saw Preston. Before I could process it, he was in front of me, his hand clamped around my wrist. Sierra, is the show over? If it is, come back with me and we'll have our wedding. I tried to pull free, but his grip only tightened. Preston, I told you, we're over. The words had barely left my mouth when someone kicked Preston away. The next second, I was pulled into a warm embrace. I instinctively looked up. The man's chiseled features seemed vaguely familiar. She's my fiancée now. Where do you think you're taking her? His eyes were unshakably firm as he spoke. He held me tightly in his arms, and the fear and anxiety that had gripped me just moments ago seemed to melt away, replaced by an immense sense of comfort. I looked down at Preston on the floor. Did you hear that? I'm someone else's fiancé now. There's no chance for us anymore. Preston stared at me in disbelief, his eyes filled with shock and despair. What did you say? That's impossible. He sank to the ground, his eyes slowly turning red. Suddenly, he crawled towards me like a dog. That's not true, Sierra. You're lying to me, aren't you? We have 7 years of history. How could you just let it go so easily? You're just putting on a show for me, right? He reached out and grabbed my hand. Sierra, come home with me, please. I slapped him across the face. Preston, I'm not going back with you, I snapped. He froze, staring at me, his face a mask of devastation. Sierra, if you marry this man, you'll regret it. I used to think that after everything we'd been through, it wouldn't be easy to just let go. But I later realized that in this world, no one is indispensable. I could draw a line with my painful past, and I could let go of him and fall in love with someone else. I asked him calmly, Preston, what makes you so sure that I can't live without you? I was naive and foolish before, thinking my devotion could earn his, but I'm awake now. I won't waste any more of my time on you. My voice cracked as I finished. My only regret is not leaving you sooner. Beside me, Julian Croft squeezed my hand, his eyes full of sympathy. Don't worry, he comforted me. I won't let you suffer like this ever again. He then led me onto the stage and addressed everyone. Since we have this opportunity today, I'd like to make a formal announcement. With that, he dropped to one knee, pulled a 7-carat, flawless square-cut diamond from his pocket, and looked at me with devotion. Sierra, I love you. Will you marry me? I stood there, completely stunned, my heart pounding like a drum. With Preston, I had dreamed countless times of him proposing, but he would always say dismissively, "Sierra, you're almost 30. Stop acting like a little girl. If you're not embarrassed, I am." I used to think he just wasn't good at romantic gestures. It wasn't until the day Rosalie came back, when he threw a public celebration for their 25 years of friendship, that I realized the truth. It wasn't that he couldn't be romantic. He just couldn't be bothered to be romantic with me. Perhaps because it had been so long since anyone had shown me such bold, open affection, tears instantly welled up and fell. Julian gently wiped them away. "Sierra," he whispered, "you deserve better." Then he slipped the impossibly brilliant diamond ring onto my finger. The next second, the room erupted in applause. I looked down at Preston. He was staring at me, his eyes filled with utter despair. I gave a cold smile. See, I deserve to be cherished too. In the end, Preston was dragged out by security. As they threw him out, he yelled defiantly, "Sierra, you'll regret this." After the engagement party, Julian asked to speak with me alone. As we were walking, he suddenly asked, "Do you regret it?" "Huh," I looked at him, confused. "What did you say?" I said, "Do you regret marrying me? If you do, there's still a chance." I looked at his face, which was both familiar and blurry, and felt an inexplicable sense of closeness. I was silent for a moment, then said calmly, "There's nothing to regret. Wasting sadness and regret on someone unworthy is a punishment to yourself. From now on, I just want to live a good life with the people I love." Julian nodded in agreement. Suddenly, he pulled a good luck charm from his pocket and held it out to me. I looked at it and froze. "How do you have this?" I asked, bewildered. This was the charm my mother had personally gotten for me from a temple for my 18th birthday. That was also the day my mother and I were in a car accident on the way home. I'll never forget the image of my mother throwing her body over me without hesitation as the truck barreled towards us, killing her instantly. The car flipped, and my legs were pinned under the seat, trapping me. Just as I thought I was going to die, a boy appeared before me. He kept encouraging me, and he pulled me from the wreckage. But when I woke up again, I was alone. Later, a nurse in the hospital told me that a boy about my age had brought me in. He had left in a hurry without leaving any contact information. It was only then that I realized the charm my mother had given me was lost, and the hit-and-run driver had fled and was never found. It wasn't until later that I met Preston. By chance, I overheard him telling someone about that car crash. At the time, I mistakenly thought he had saved me, and I developed a special fondness for him. But whenever I asked him about the details of the rescue, he would brush me off impatiently, so eventually I stopped asking. Julian placed the charm in my palm. "A girl I rescued from an accident 7 years ago left this behind. I finally found the chance to return it to her." I stared at him in disbelief. "So, you were the one who saved me that day?" Julian nodded. I stood frozen, my world crumbling around me. If Julian was the one who saved me, then why did Preston lie to me? And how did he even know about the car crash? All the questions and confusion piled up in my heart, strangling me. Thinking back on it all, my chest felt tight, like it was stuffed with cotton, and I could hardly breathe. I collapsed to the ground, sobbing, large tears splashing onto the floor. I couldn't believe that the man I had once loved most had been lying to me for 7 years. To uncover the truth, I went to Preston's office to find him. When he saw me, his dull eyes instantly lit up as if he'd seen his savior. He rushed to my side and gripped my hands tightly. "Sierra, did you come to your senses? Are you ready to come back to me? I knew you loved me. After everything we've been through, how could you suddenly fall for someone else?" I looked at him, prying his fingers off one by one, and sneered, "I'm not here to get back together with you." Preston's smile froze on his face. His voice trembled. "Sierra, what are you talking about?" I questioned him coldly. "The day of the car crash, you weren't the one who saved me, were you?" A flash of panic crossed his eyes. "Sierra, why are you suddenly asking about this? Didn't I tell you I saved you?" I scoffed. Even now, he was still stubbornly refusing to tell the truth. "Stop pretending, Preston. You weren't the one who saved me that day." I continued, "But I am curious how you knew I was in a car crash. Were you there at the scene? If you were, you must have seen the hit-and-run driver, right?" I grabbed his hand. "Preston, tell me who that person was." Only then did I notice the sheer panic in Preston's eyes, his whole body trembling uncontrollably. I don't know," It had nothing to do with me. The mystery in my mind deepened. I couldn't understand why Preston always looked so nervous and flustered whenever the crash was mentioned. It only made me more certain that he knew the truth. But why was he hiding it? What was his relationship with that person? When Julian heard about my situation, he asked if I needed his help. He said that with just one word from me, he would get me justice, no matter who the other party was. I told him I could handle my own affairs. He nodded thoughtfully and said no more. To my surprise, Preston came to find me that very night. "Sierra, if I tell you who the hit-and-run driver was, will you forgive me?" I looked at the dejected man before me. In just one day, he looked nothing like the spirited Mr. Pierce I once knew. I nodded. "Yes." His eyes filled with joy. He then took a painting out of a cabinet and placed it in front of me. "Sierra, I found the most famous artist to repaint this. See if it's identical to the one your mom left you." I almost laughed in his face. How could he think that by simply hiring someone to paint a copy, I would forgive him and Rosalie for the pain they caused me? Perhaps my past weakness had made him overestimate his place in my heart. I picked up the coffee on the table and, without hesitation, threw it on the painting. "Preston, what kind of pathetic person do you think I am? How dare you humiliate me like this? Why would you think I'd want a fake? You can have the painting redone, but what about my heart, which you shattered into a million pieces? Can you put that back together?" Just as I finished, Rosalie burst in. "Sierra, you bitch, you don't deserve Brother Preston. I should have just run you over back then." The next second, a sharp slap landed across her face. Preston roared at her. "Rosalie, I won't have you talk to Sierra like that. This is between her and me. You have no right to speak. Get out." Sensing the gravity of the situation, his assistant immediately came in and dragged Rosalie out. After a moment of silence, Preston's voice broke. "Sierra, it was my fault. I ignored your feelings before, but I promise from now on I cut him off impatiently. "Preston, I didn't come here today to listen to you repent. Let's just get to the point." He stiffened, his eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions. About 10 minutes passed before Preston finally spoke. "The reason I knew about it was because Rosalie called me that night. She was crying, telling me she'd been in a car accident and begging me to help her. At first, I didn't know she'd hit and killed someone. It wasn't until I got to the scene and saw you and your mother that I realized how serious it was. I thought about calling the police, but Rosalie knelt on the ground and threatened to kill herself, begging me not to report her, so I gave in. She went abroad to escape responsibility." Suddenly, he grabbed my hand. "Sierra, I didn't mean to lie to you. I just didn't know how to explain it. But I truly love you, Sierra. You have to believe me." Listening to Preston's words, my heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. I raised my hand and slapped him across the face, my voice trembling uncontrollably. "Preston, in your eyes, my mother's life means nothing. All you have to do is say a casual 'I'm sorry,' and I'm supposed to forgive you and forget everything. Is that it?" I screamed at him hysterically. "Can you bring her back to life right now? You knew how much pain I was in after losing my mother, how many tears I cried in secret. But you still protected Rosalie, lying to me for 7 years. Didn't you feel any guilt at all during those 7 years?" Preston's eyes were bloodshot, filled with regret and guilt. He dropped to his knees with a thud. "Sierra, I truly know I was wrong. Please forgive me. If you come back to me, you can do whatever you want to Rosalie. I won't help her this time. Please just give me one more chance to make it up to you." I found it laughable. I couldn't believe he still had the nerve to ask for my forgiveness. He was an accomplice for covering up for Rosalie. How could he possibly think I would just forget everything and stay with him? Did he really think I was that pathetic? That I would stay with the accessory to my own mother's murder, all for the sake of love? I looked at him and demanded, "If I hadn't found out the truth, would you have ever told me?" He was speechless. I laughed coldly. "Preston, I knew you wouldn't. You would have kept protecting Rosalie and watched me drown in the pain of losing my mother." Just then, the office door opened. A uniformed police officer walked in. "Excuse me, are you Mr. Preston Pierce? We just received a report that you were involved in a hit-and-run case 7 years ago. Please cooperate with our investigation and come down to the station." Preston stared at me in disbelief. "Sierra, you—" As I left, I said calmly, "Preston, I will never forgive you." He froze, turning back to look at me with tears in his eyes, his voice choked with sobs. "Sierra, I'm sorry. When Rosalie was brought to the station, she was defiant at first, denying her crime. It was only when Preston personally testified against her, and a mountain of evidence was laid out before her, that she finally confessed. Julian used his connections to get me the best legal team in the country, and the top-tier lawyers lived up to their reputation. Although Rosalie wasn't sentenced to death, she received a life sentence. Preston was also sentenced to 5 years in prison for being an accessory. I was satisfied with this outcome. Later, I heard that Rosalie had made enemies in prison and was being bullied and beaten by other inmates every day, living a life of misery. Hearing this, I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected, only a sense of emptiness. When I walked out of the police station, Julian was waiting for me at the entrance. "Is it all taken care of?" I nodded. "Yes." He gently pulled me into his arms and kissed my forehead. "It's okay now, it's all in the past. From now on, I'll be your safe harbor." A month later, Julian and I had a magnificent wedding on a tropical island. He recited his vows with sincere devotion, and finally, looking at me with deep affection, he said, "Sierra Shaw, I love you." With tears streaming down my face, I was too choked up to speak. "Julian Croft, thank you." Then I pressed my lips to his. He froze for a second, then quickly responded, pulling my head closer to deepen the kiss. Those words were 7 years late, but my love would not be late ever again.